Hi everybody! So today's the first Friday that I'm here. Are you gonna go out and drink wine and get drunk? No. Why? Because I'm not stupid. That's why. My immune system is down here when it should be up here because I've just gotten off of a plane. And newsflash, it is flu season in France, and there's horrible flus going around. It's like an epidemic, actually. So, no, I'm not gonna go out late in this cold 2-degree centigrade weather. I'd really much rather just do this and go to sleep. Especially considering I did all of my scheduling and had to fill out this fancy schmancy form. I am tired. I am far too tired to go outside and interact with people. That does not sound like a good time. So basically what happened today was we talked about personal security, which for me I've already heard, but it was good to get a refresher course. So for those of you who don't know, you should probably not stay out past when the public transportation stops. I mean, you can, but if you wind up intoxicated and need to find your way home and you don't have money for a taxi because you spent it on booze, walking home at like 2 a.m. is a bad idea. That's just a bad idea. You shouldn't do it. That's not a good idea in the US. Why would you do it in France? Don't do it. It's especially if you're alone. If you've got somebody with you who's sober, fine. You can go together, take care of each other, all that. You can figure out how to get home together, and that's fine. But in general, basically don't be stupid. If you wouldn't do something in the US, don't do it when you're studying abroad. Another thing is, don't bring your passport or visa documents with you. Also a bad idea, unless you need to use it. Don't withdraw money from the ATM and then carry it around with you, because there are people stalking the machines and they will go up to you and try to take it. Maybe not as violently as I make that sound, but the reality is the biggest threat to you are pickpockets. Violent crime with guns is very rare in France, and that's because their guns are really, really controlled. It's not easy at all to get a gun in France. Now, are there drug dealers and other criminals with guns? Yeah. If you're a criminal, you're going to find a way to get a gun. But a normal person on the street will not be carrying a gun. So it's not as likely to be held at gunpoint for your cash than it is for you to put it in your wallet or something and then have your wallet stolen. Let's see. What else did we talk about safety-wise? Basically, be careful with alcohol and drugs. For one thing, most drugs are illegal, and that can get you deported. That's not a fun time, and then none of the work you did to get to wherever you were matters, because now you're going home, and it's probably too late to register for classes at your host university, so you have to take the semester over. That's not convenient for anybody, and you lose out on an amazing experience. We are not scientists. I'm not a scientist. You might be a scientist, but I'm not a scientist, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Other safety things: don't carry a lot of cash. That's also a no-brainer. Would you carry $100 in your wallet in the US? Probably not. Basically, this is City Living 101. How to use the public transportation, how to look at where you put your money, where you put your valuables. don't take all your valuables with you at a time, because big bags mean attention. The smaller your bag is, or the less it looks like there's stuff in it, the better. Because really, the pickpockets and the thieves are going to go for the easiest targets. Usually tourists, or people who look like tourists. So don't look like a tourist. You can be a tourist. Don't look like one. Don't act like one. Especially a stupid tourist, because that's the worst combination you can have in a foreign country. Because they can spot you like you stick out so much, it's actually funny. I will always stick out because I'm American, and actually I'm blonde. I stick out like a sore thumb. Most French people are brunettes or have black hair. As a blonde, I'm kind of a rarity, which is weird because it's really common in the US to be blonde. Also, if you're tall in France, you're gonna stick out just in general. If you're tall in the US, you're gonna be really, really tall in France. There's this guy in my class who came on this trip, and he is tall by US standards. I think he's like 6'3" or something. He is heads and shoulders above most French people. French people and Mediterranean peoples are usually not that tall. So that's another way you can stick out your height. Having a big bag, like we discussed, stick out. And if you don't know the culture, it will be very, very clear. Your ingrained cultural habits are going to give you away immediately. Something Americans do, we acknowledge strangers in the street. French people don't do that. If you make eye contact with someone in France, that's an invitation for communication, or can be as a sign of aggression if you're a male. If you're a female, it's basically saying, hey baby. So don't make eye contact with people in France if you're just walking in the street. And if you accidentally make eye contact with someone, look away quickly so they'll know it was an accident. That's a big thing. Don't smile at strangers. That's a really bad idea unless you want them to come up to you and flirt with you. Or you want to start a conversation with them in general. So there's that. Also, hugging, that's not a thing in France at all, which is sad. I love hugs, but they do the kisses on the cheeks. And in Montpellier, it's 3 kisses. In Paris, it's 2, and other places it can be 4, which is bizarre. That's just a lot, but it's normal for them, so whatever. And it's not hurting anyone, so I don't really care. It's just kind of like, 4? Really? You need to kiss them that much? That takes too long. That takes too long. But I guess that's just me being American and cultural appropriation. But yeah, fun facts about French culture and street culture. Don't smile. Everybody has a street face. And women in France have this tough do not bother me face on, and they walk purposefully with great speed to wherever they're going. It doesn't seem to matter if they're going somewhere casually or not. People walk pretty fast in general. And my host family and a couple of other host families that we've talked about eat really fast as well. And I am a slow eater by American standards. They're sitting there like, are you gonna finish anytime soon? What the hell? So that's another thing to take into consideration. But yeah, something else that's interesting is the French do not dress by the weather. They dress by the calendar, or at least they do here in Montpellier. It will be March and people will be still wearing their jackets and boots because it's March. But it'll be like in the 50s when it may be too hot to be comfortable wearing a winter jacket and fur-lined boots. Do they care? No, because it's France. So they don't really wear summer clothes until like mid-May maybe. When it gets to be summertime, then they'll wear shorts and things like that because it'll be summer. It's so funny to me. It's just interesting to see that people don't dress by the weather. They dress according to the season, or because it's March, you should be wearing a jacket. You don't unbutton your jacket until April. There's actually a phrase for that in French, and I can't remember the whole thing. But it's basically, in March, you button your jacket. In April, you can do whatever you want. And it rhymes in French. It doesn't in English because English is stupid. So that's basically what we talked about, the differences that are pretty subtle that you wouldn't even think about, but can make you stand out really, really easily. And that can affect how comfortable you feel in a certain situation, or that can affect how a situation goes on. So that's personal security when you're studying abroad. We also finished up considering classes, and I have a plan A and a plan B because that was required. So there are 8 classes, because in the French school system you have a main class, and then you have something called a TD, a TP, and the main one is usually called the CM. CM. The CM is the lecture, where you go in and there's like 200 people in the room, and you all listen to the professor drone at you for like, all of these are like 2 hours or an hour and a half. So there's that. In the TD, that's for the classes who just need a more specific kind of discussion. It's not really a discussion, it's more specific than the CM. Like I'm taking Accueil, Histoire de l'Art et Monde Greco-Romain. So the CM will be on the general subject. There is a TD of this class, and the details of this class haven't been posted yet. So I don't know what the specific subject for this TD is, but that one is 2 hours, and basically I'll be getting a more specific content. There's also Histoire littéraire. The CM is going to be the historical literature, how literature is reflective of time and how time affects literature, that kind of thing. And the TD is on poésie, poetry. So we'll be looking specifically at poetry and how history and poetry blend and how the styles changed and why they changed and all of that. Some of which I've already studied, but it should be interesting because we're focusing on the 20th century, which is why I've studied some of it. I've studied Mai 68, and we have studied Jacques Prévert in my first literature class that I took, so that should be interesting. So I know most of the history of the 20th century because that has been a focus of much of my French civilization classes and just literature in general, because it went from here to over there because they're French. We'll probably also be talking about the Franco-Algerian War and how that affected things, maybe. as it turns out, people don't really talk about the Franco-Algerian War in France, but in America I have studied it and looked at the details and how that affected immigration and how French colonialism kind of collapsed. So we'll see if that's a part of it, because that happened in 1954 to 1960. Oh, was it 66? Don't quote me on that. It was somewhere in the 60s. It was in 62, because it was an 8-year-long war. I think it started in 1954. Don't quote me on that either. But it was 8 years long. You can quote me on that. So we'll see if that one comes up, because that'll be interesting. And then, so those are two classes are my plan A. The Greco-Roman ancient history and archaeology. That's one of the classes that will count towards an art history little credit. And then my literature class, which I know I'm probably going to do. And the kind of backup I have for that one is a little ridiculous, because it's littérature britannique, English literature. So I'm cheating, basically. But I'll feel better if I go to this class once and it will be something I understand. Because I have taken a British literature class, and this class is interesting because there's a TD, which will be the main class, and there's a TP, which a TP is where you practice things. It's more for a science, but in a language course it means you'll be speaking. You'll be working with the language yourself, so people will be working on their English, which is going to be funny for me because I'm a native English speaker. So that'll be fun if I decide to do that, and if I think the history literature is too hard or just not for me, or I can't make it work. But it'll also probably be cheating. Yeah, totally be cheating. It's so cheating, but it's fun. As far as the Archéo Histoire de l'Art class, my backup is something called Histoire Ancienne, which is incredibly general. Because the thing about France is that they don't really do things on time. That doesn't really happen unless you're talking about actual classes. So guess how much information I have on this class as far as what I'll be learning? None. All I know is it's ancient history. So I got all of the room number information. I know where everything is, but I only know 3 of the professors out of the potential 8, and one of them is teaching 2 of my classes, so I should know 4, but I don't, because it's the same one. Because the Littérature Britannique did not post a teacher for either section. Neither did the Archéo Histoire de l'Art class. But I will know the 2 people teaching my Histoire Littérature, because it's 2 different people, but the Histoire Ancienne will be taught by the same person. So, guess who's going to all 8 of those classes this week, starting Monday? Yep. It's gonna be a really, really crappy week. If only because I've got... Let me just show you my schedule, because yeah, that's my schedule for next week. I have to go to all of these classes, guys. Okay, Monday I only have 1 class, 1 official class, but I have, let me check my calendar. What am I doing on Monday? Let's see. I have a discussion on culture shock on Monday at 9 until 10:45, and then my class starts. And then we're doing a thing with my program leader from 1 until 4, and from 4 until 6 we're doing a tour of Montpellier. So it's by no means a free day. Nope. And then after that, Tuesdays, thankfully I only have 2 of the classes, and that's done through Aix-en-Français. And Monday is another Aix-en-Français class, a methodology class. And because I took a methodology class in art history last semester, I'm not too worried about that one. Because I've already done it, just in a different setting. I'll just apply what I know to the new information. It'll be fine, probably. And then there's expression orale et écrite. That's basically how to express yourself in speaking and writing. And that's Tuesday morning. No, we changed this. I don't have class until 2:15, but I will have class consecutively from 2:15 until 5. It's gonna be great. Or is it 5:30? It's probably 5:30. Yeah, it's probably 5:30. And that's because I have another class right after that one called Civilisation du Sud de la France. Basically focusing on the southern French culture because it's different from the north. If you think Parisian culture is the only culture in France, I got another thing coming for you. There are like 7 different subcultures of France, and that's just going by regions. But then I've got Wednesday, where I don't have any Aix-en-Français classes, but I have 3 of the UPV classes, my Histoire d'Art, le CM, and the TD. And then I have the CM, the CM of my Monde Greco-Romain archaeology art history class. So I finish class at like 7:15. That's gonna be fun. I should note that I have a break in the afternoon from 2:15 until 5:15, but still. Then on Thursday I have 4 of the classes to go to because I have to go to my Plan B and my Plan A's. So I have the second section of methodology Thursday morning, followed shortly by my Brit Lit class, which is going to be my backup for the French Lit class, which is me cheating, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna actually take this class probably. I'm gonna have to stick to the Histoire littérature. Histoire littéraire, pardon. And then I have the second section of my Civ class, starting at 2 and going until 3:30. And then at 4:15, I have to go back to UPV and do the TD for my Greco-Roman class until 6:15. That's not going to be a fun time for me. And then Friday, I've got, oh god, my Ancienne Histoire is at 8:15 in the morning until 9:45. And that's the CM. Then I have the second section of the Brit Lit, which thankfully is only an hour, starting at 11:15 and going until 12:15. And then I have my Expression orale et écrite, that second section, starting at 1:30. And then at 4:45 I go back to UPV for my Ancienne Histoire TD. And I get out of that at 6:15. So I have 4 classes on Friday and 4 classes on Thursday, 3 on Wednesday, 2 on Tuesday, and 1 on Monday. Monday's gonna be the not easy day because I have orientation stuff. Tuesday's gonna be the kind of easy day that I can take a little breather. And Wednesday I only have that break in the middle, and Thursday's just gonna not be fun, and Friday is not gonna be fun. because I have to go back and forth between UPV and Aix-en-Provence. I have to do that on Thursday too. God. I did this to myself. I did. I don't have to like it. I really don't. I'll only be taking half of these, actually, so it just it seems so like I'm going to the Brit Lit class out of formality, just in case. I want to skip it, but I can't. Also, I would love the Ancienne Histoire, but it's at 8:15 a.m. Megan is not a morning person. Mornings need to die. Which is why I'm going to bed. And I am not getting up until it's like 10 French time, because I can, because it's Saturday and I'm gonna be fine. And I'm gonna go on a picnic with my group, and that's gonna be fun. And then Saturday night I'll see what I'm doing, because it'll be Saturday. Probably sit here. But you know, hey, if you enjoyed this half-hour video again, let me know. Dad told me stop rambling so much, and I probably rambled a lot. So, Dad, let me do me. I don't care. This is my channel, my video diary, and the word diary implies that I'm allowed to do whatever the hell I want. So, rambling it is. See you tomorrow, guys.